Hi guys, and welcome back to this Model Engineers Workshop. Today in the workshop, we're not going to be stopping milling, we're going to be making sure that when we're milling, we can stop. Hi guys, I'm the chef. Today we're going to be making a couple of stops for the mill table, just so that we can just travel just that little bit that we need to and go clunk, clunk, so that when we're milling things in, say, like the cylinders which are coming up soon, we're going to be milling the steam ports. The steam chest needs to have the whole big hole cut in the middle, so we can set those stops and we can just manually go backwards and forwards, and we're just going to go clunk, 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 clunk as we go up and down, and we're going to be stopping in exactly the same place every time. Yes, you can do it by hand. You don't need stops, but it takes one momentary slip. I'll get there in the end, don't worry. And you've gone too far, or you've not gone far enough, and you don't end up with a good looking surface finish. Would it make a difference? Who knows? But these are something that have been on my mind for a little while. I've got a little bit of a sketch in mind of what I want, how it's going to work, but these are a couple of bits of 1 inch square hot rolled steel. This will do it nicely for what I'm thinking. So I'm just going to stop here, stop wittering on, get these cleaned up, get the ends all squared off so they're nice and clean again. I'll bring them back here onto the bench and show you the sketch, and we'll get making these hard stops. It shouldn't take too long to make them. This is literally a one-day job, not even a couple of hours really. All right guys, I'm going to go off to the mill now, take these with me with help, and I'll be back soon. Okay guys, so a couple of minutes have passed. Those two grotty pieces of hot rolled steel are now bright and shiny, ends all machined up, nothing too exact, they don't have to be. So what am I going to be doing with these? Right, well, this is my mill table. This slot here in the front has these sprung limit switch stops. Limit switch is just over here, just underneath the vise in the middle, to make sure that you don't drive the table too far and bugger anything up. Now, of course, that's no good because it's sprung. You're going to go past it. Now, I did investigate undoing here. There's a little cap socket head screw here, and this slot here, for some weird and wonderful reason, it's not like these ones. It's not a T-slot. It's a bloody dovetail, you know. So like in woodwork, you know, it's this kind of shape. So I undid that and took this off, which is only a plastic molding. So that came off very easy. And I thought, oh, right, I can maybe slide that nut along. No, you can't. I did another investigation to the far side of the nut here. There is a little grub screw. Aha, right. Take the grub screw out. Guess what? The nut still didn't bloody move. I've hammered on it. It doesn't move. I don't know why. I don't quite understand why that just couldn't be a T-slot. Maybe, and then have a bolt that you could put in there just to act as a limit switch or whatever, or even, you know, just so you could put a T-nut in and a bolt and clamp something on. Would have been nice to be able to clamp a plate on here nice and flat, so to give me a flat vertical surface here, so you don't have to tram everything in every time. But that's the design of the machine. There's nothing I can do about it. Right, so that's the gripe and groaning over with. So what are we going to be doing on here? Right, these pieces, I've just put an X on just to give me a reference face. So that's going to be the outside. These are going to go over here like this, grub screw in the top, little tongue that will go into that slot, and eventually they will bang into that. This is, as far as I can tell, just to make sure the table doesn't slide off. There's no real other purpose that I can think of. These limit switches go past the top of it. They don't interfere with it, nothing. So I can make use of those. Where's my cross gun? There it is. So this is going to be literally like a backwards F. Just grab my sketch. So I've pinked that into the screen. So you can see, I've got a couple of bits missing, a couple of lines missing, it doesn't matter. What this is going to be like. So we're going to, this width and this width just don't matter because that's the size of the block. What do matter is that that's 10, that's 31, and that's 8.5. And that tongue there is only 9 deep because this slot itself is 10 deep. And I don't want it to bottom out because, of course, if you imagine the table will fit in here, you need just that little bit of freedom. So when you tighten the bolt up, it will just come up and it will jam tight. Won't twist because you'll be able to use this face up against this face. Just push it on, tighten the bolt up, and it's in place. This is going to be acting as the stop. So one this side, one that side, and just backwards and forwards. Just set it up one time. and just use the hand wheel on the end of the table just to go bang, 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 down, bang, bang, down, bang, bang, down, bang, bang, down. Now, of course, my table has a power feed on it. I'm just going to move you around, guys. So I'm going to have to be very careful that I don't engage the power feed, but there is an advantage here. On-off switch. So all I have to do is remember to turn the power feed off. Turn it back on at the moment because I'm going to be using it in a second, so that I don't try using the power feed when I've got these table stops clamped into place. So what's the order of operations going to be? Well, I'm going to stand these both up in the vise, one each end of the jaws so the jaws don't twist. Let me just turn you up a bit so you can see what I'm talking about. There we go. And we're going to drill and tap the holes first. Get those in while these are still in their massive form. Once those holes are drilled, they're going to be laid down in the vise, and we're going to, there's the drawing, we're going to start taking out to this depth. All of that can go. Once that's gone, change cutter to a smaller one. We're going to take out that 9x31 piece. Make sure we get this to 8.5, go down to the same thickness here at 5, and just clean off the end. Now, sometime in the future, I dare say, this little stoppy piece down here, this one, is actually 30 wide, which limits how close you can get, how small you can do the backwards and forwards. If I ever need to, I'll turn these into one left-handed, one right-handed, by just milling away this bottom corner. So if necessary, I can actually get them to touch, right? And then that way I could even do that kind of width. Just moving the table with it would be like a 2mm cutter, just backwards and forwards. All right. So I'm going to get these set up in the mill. Like I said, I'm going to get them stood up. Going to drill and tap the 2 holes. Go down probably 20, 25, because there's no fun tapping a blind hole in the top of there. So I'll go down plenty and then just machine what I don't need away. And then later on I can run the tap back through and clean it out. So we're going to be taking out, what's my drawing say? So we're going to leave 10 at the top, come down by 5 plus 9, and so we leave 14. So we're going to come down about 10. This I think is 24.5. Now I've machined it up, and we're just going to take this whole chunk away. All right, guys, I'll get the holes drilled. You don't need to see that drill and tap. You don't need that one. Oops. And when I'm set up in the vise, ready for taking out this is going to be the front face, so that's going to be down. Got to remember that one. And we'll just get this 10mm by whatever length that will be, about 64, I think these have now worked out to be 74 long. All right, guys, I'll get the holes drilled, get up in the vise, and I'll bring it back. Okay, guys, so now I've got the hole drilled and tapped. You can see it there. There's his partner, drilled and tapped M6. That's on the floor, but I'll find it in a minute, don't worry. Gonna now set up and cut out a lot of this now. We're gonna come down about 10mm, I think it is. Yeah, about 10. And we're going to stop 10 short of the end. I've got a little scratch line there just for me to work towards the end. Don't think you can quite see that, can you? No, it doesn't look like it. Anyway, believe me, there's a little scratch line just there. So we're going to get the machine going. It'll get noisy. And touch off, back away, put on 0.5mm, come along this way, get to just short of the line, and then just do a little backwards and forwards, and then go back. And then we'll repeat that. And once we get down to getting what's left being 14mm, then we'll work up to the line. There's nothing too exact to be on these things, except for the one, which is the 31, which is the bit that actually nips onto the edge of the mill table itself. So it's going to get noisy as it always does, guys. Here goes. Coming down to touch off now. There we go. I'll back away from that. There we go. Set the 0 on me. Yep. Come up 0.5mm. I'll take off 0.5mm. Right, so here goes. Oh, hang on. Got to put my little screen in place. It's going to get a bit messy. Are you going to be able to see it? That? I'll tell you what, I'll move it to there. Right. Okay, here goes. And stop short. Back away. Right. Quieten that down a bit for you now. There we go. Right. I'll repeat that now till I get down to the remaining things being 14 mil. And then I'll bring you back and we'll swap over and do the next one. Okay, guys, give me a couple of minutes. Okay, guys, here we go. So, got them all down to 14 thick here in this dimension. So, taking 10 mil of steel off, you can see where, will she focus? Yep, and you can see there's a thread in there. Eventually that will all disappear, of course. Right, so change the cutter from the big one, which is a 50 mil. This is now a 16 mil. I've touched stuff on here. I've touched stuff on the inside surface here. So now what we're going to do is I've locked the table, so there's no transverse movement on the mill. Just going to go down 0.2, 0.4. I'll work it out as time carries on. And we're going to go down. I've got the DRO set at the 14. So when the DRO tells me 5, I'm going to stop. So I'm going to put a nice big slot, 16 mil slot by 9 deep in here. Now this dimension along here before we get the second tongue of the F, this being the first, the second, is 31 mil. So I then move across, come back up again, of course, and back, and we then have a 15 mil cut. I'll probably make it 14 and then sneak up on it just so that I don't go too far or the cutter doesn't wander. It shouldn't do. Everything's bolted down tight. So I'll do the first cut and just move that one out of the way. Literally, I'm going to set the depth, move the vise that way, come back, raise the vise, jump, 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 backwards and forwards until the DRO tells me I'm at 5 mil. I'm holding on to about 3.5 mil under here on the parallels. So we should be fine. I'm going to go light. It's a small cutter. It shouldn't yank it out the jaws, but if it does, well, that piece will be scrap and I'll start again. So here goes. Gonna get noisy, guys, same as it always does. Running at about 600 RPM. Yep, there we go. Put on a cut. Let's just go 0.2 just so this cutter likes it or not. Put my little screen on. Is that going to affect you? No, good. Tying up the bolt. Here we go. That's making a nice little cut. Wind it back. Let's stop the mill. I'll bring you in again. I'll just move you across, guys. That way you'll be able to have a look see as well. Just mind my stool. Right, so there we go. That seemed to cut quite nicely. It's leaving a beautiful finish. Right, not that the finish is desperate, not on this, it's just a clump. So work this down now till 5 mil, which is going to be 1.5 mils above the jaws of the vise, and then I'll move it across 14 that way. Take a cut, then we'll see how much we've got to do, and we'll do a tidy up cut on the second tongue of the F that we're making. All right, guys, give me a couple of minutes. Well, it'll be more than a couple of minutes. Lots of cuts, but I'll get down to the 5 mil thickness, and I'll bring you back. All right, guys, see you in a bit. Okay, guys, so that's a few minutes past. A quick tidy up so you can see a little better. There we go. So now we've come down here. Now we've cut this 16 mil wide. We've come down till the DRO tells me we're on 5. I've moved across 14 mil. we're going to take out the next chunk and then we'll start measuring because we need it to be at 31. So there'll be a third session of this. Right, so I'll get the covers back on and I'll bring you back when I've done that. All right, guys, here goes. Okay, so that's all machined out. That's 31. So this is a 16mm insert cutter, two inserts. So if that cutter is 16, then we've got to take that 16 to here, this corner. Use this to point at the easier than my blue fingernail. And then we've got to allow 8.5, which gets it to 24.5. I'm going to allow another millimeter so I can then sneak up on it coming back this way. So I've moved the DRO 25.5, which of course isn't the cutter. Move the cutter, the DRO tells me 25.5. Take a couple of cuts across here, down to 5mm. And I will just confirm once I've got enough depth here to get the verniers on, the vernier calipers. And keep going or adjust as necessary. Once I get that slot cut, take this end piece off, work back to get this to 8.5, and that's when I'll bring you back, because then it gets exciting because we'll be able to stick it on the edge of the mill table and see if my measurements are right, my calculations. All right, shouldn't take too long. I'll be back in a bit, guys. Give me a minute. Okay, so there we go. That's how it. That was the sketch. That's the piece. I'll make that so pretty much like that. There you go. It's an F, really, backwards F. So I've just deburred it. Well, no sharp edges anymore. Now into truth, see if the measurements worked, eh? Let's have a look. So, oh yes, look at that. That is, can I get you around? Yep, yes I can, there we go. In, not out. There we go, I'll move back a bit. You can see now, there's the tongue, there's the slot, that goes all the way in. Now, tighten that up a bit. Hang on. Yeah. Luckily I'm come prepared. Being a chef, here's one I've got earlier. Got one of my little miniature spanners. I'll just put a nip up on that. Something like that. Oh yeah, that's going nowhere. Right, now, the ultimate test. Move the table along. Yep, that just made contact there. Right, that is beautiful. Oh, I'm so happy with that. Right, I've still got one to go. This one, and I'll bring you back when I've got a matching pair. All right, guys, shouldn't be long now. All right, guys, so there we go. Second one machined, both down, both clamped on. Didn't need to clamp them very tight, and they're nice and solid. Now you can see the idea. I've got to stop here, and if I move the table along far enough, this one will strike this here. This is firmly bolted onto the machine, so it's not going to go anywhere. So any distance between there and there, I can then duplicate up here in the vise, so that every time it'll be clunk, clunk, take the cutter down, clunk, clunk, so I know I'm going to end up with everything exactly the same. So that's going to be very useful when we start cutting ports in cylinder blocks and holes in steam chests, again for the cylinders, for the locomotive. So this is a little job. I suppose that's taken me 4 hours to make the two of these from scratch, from basically making the sketch and thinking about it for 10 minutes, and then while I was thinking about it, cutting the two bits of hot rolled mild steel and clean them up, transfer, no real sketches, no real dimensions marked out on it, just do it from your head and from the little piece of paper I made, which is still here on the mill table. So, yep, got them to that size, and they work a treat. They are nice and tight. One of my little miniature spanners, that's all it takes. It literally takes like a, I don't know, quarter of a turn, half a turn. There you go. Nothing at all. So, these are now going to live on the end of the mill table. Excuse my arm, I'm just going to tighten them down. There we go. And then they can stay there till I need them. I might investigate some cold blacking or something, just to put a layer of something on there, just to keep them from a bit of rusting, because this workshop is basically in the garage. Well, it is in a gear, it's not basically, it is in a gear, it's fairly moist and humid. Right, so yeah, you can see that's it. That's where they'll live. If I get the motivation, or if one of you guys out there knows of a good, cool, cold blacking product somewhere that I can get in Australia for a reasonable price, I don't need a lot. Just those two. Right, I'll see you on the bench in a minute, guys. Okay, so on the bench, just quickly whipped one of them off. That's it. You can see the idea that it's a little bit clearer on the whiter background instead of the same coloured steel. Machine's made out of cast iron. Anyway, stop babbling. Here we go. That's the idea. It works. That will do me nicely. They're nice and solid, nice and firm. Right, I'll bring this video to a close. So that's it for today, guys. Nice little couple of bits of infrastructure for the workshop. A homemade tool is always a joy to use, so these will be usage when I need them, but the important thing is I've got them. All right then, guys, I'll finish this video like I always do by saying, if you can find it in your heart and soul, give me a like, a subscribe, and hit that bell for the notifications every fortnight on a Sunday at 12 o'clock South Australia time. If you're a watcher, please think about subscribing. Anybody who's looking at this, it's the likes that count. Please give me a like. The likes will put this video in front of more people who are like-minded. It's as simple as that. All right, guys, this is the chef saying, see you later.